Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Simply Michelle, with none other than yours truly, Michelle. If you are new and stopping by for the first time, I hope that you would decide to stay and become a part of the tribe and subscribe to my channel. And if you are returning, thank you so much for the support. It is greatly appreciated. If you are returning and you have not subscribed to my channel, now would be the time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can always be notified whenever I drop new content on my channel. You don't want to miss it. All right, you all, let's get into it. Um, I came across an article um online, Cosmopolitan magazine. And this article was talking about the no contact rule. And I thought, this would be a good topic to discuss. Now, I have discussed something similar, um, I would say a month ago or so, right here on my channel. Um, I believe the title of the video says something like, Why Getting Closure Does Not Work. And so when I came across this no contact rule article in Cosmopolitan, it made me think about my video that I did on why uh, getting closure does not work. Um, you know, it just makes sense. So let's talk about it. All right. So in Cosmopolitan, it says, Is the no contact rule the only way to get over a breakup? Here's why experts recommend fully cutting off communication if you're trying to get over an ex. All right. It says, What is the no contact rule? For people who may not be aware, I mean the no contact rule is pretty self-explanatory, but for those people who want to go a little bit more in depth into that, I will go ahead and read some of the little tidbits from the article. So the no contact rule is where you don't call, text, or communicate with an ex in any way after the breakup. It includes not talking to their friends or family about them or the breakup itself, says relationship expert and breakup coach Lee Wilson. It's worth noting that instituting a no contact rule doesn't have to be a lifelong commitment. There's no set timeline. You can start with a month or even just a few weeks if a month feels too daunting, and take it one day at a time. Do it for as long as it takes, says Wilson. All right, and another piece of the article, it says, "Why does the no contact rule work?" It helps both parties get closure, says clinical psychologist Lauren Cook, PhD. Breakups more often than not are messy, and the relationship with your ex may be complicated, especially if there are still feelings involved. According to Cook, those lingering feelings can really muddle a breakup. One person might feel nostalgic for the other, forgetting why they broke up in the first place. A no contact boundary can help ensure you don't fall down a slippery slope, like getting back into a relationship that isn't right for you or ending up in a dreaded situationship limbo. And so this can be compared to my video that I did about um, getting closure. I remember mentioning, a lot of people will use closure as an excuse to reach back out to the person that they are in separation with, or they may have broken up with or walked away from that person. And I was basically stating why, closure going back to that person to get closure does not work, because what happens is there are still so many feelings and emotions there, and instead of you actually getting the closure that you need, a lot of the times when you say you're going back to get closure from somebody, you end up opening another can of worms, or you end up um, restarting the relationship or the situationship again. And you pretty much end up right back where you were the first time around, where nothing is resolved. Things pretty much go back to being the way it was, and nothing changes. No one grows. No one learns the lessons. And one person might not take the other person seriously. They may use that person coming back, and being all in their feelings. They may use that to their advantage. And so basically, the no contact rule is basically you finding the strength. Okay, because you really have to find the strength in situations like this, especially if you are someone who becomes easily emotionally attached to someone, and then something happens and you try to break away from that person, or let's say the other person no longer wants to deal with you, or they break away from you, but you have a hard time completely letting go of that person. um, you have to find the strength with the no contact rule to be firm in your decisions as to why you don't want to reach back out to that person, or why you should not reach back out to that person. Stand firm on those decisions, because standing on business and standing firm on those decisions not to get back in contact with that particular person, it helps to set boundaries, and it lets the other person know that you mean business. That's number one. Number two, and this is just my commentary on it, based on the article. Um, so I'm sharing my input now. Number two, um, it may help the other person realize um, their wrongs. So especially if the other party in the situation was wrong, say they mistreated you or they did something wrong, by you continuing to deal with that person, talk to that person. Um, Sometimes people don't really learn their lessons. Sometimes it really does not sink in for the other person until you completely close that door and you walk away and you stand on business. And sometimes standing on business requires you to take extreme measures. Now, the article did mention some of the things that you can do to make sure that you don't, to make sure that you are not tempted to get back in contact with the person, is, deleting their contact information out of your phone, or, blocking their number, block their social media so you're not tempted to go look on their social media pages. Make sure you're not, getting in contact with their friends, or family, or going to places that they frequent knowing that you'll possibly bump into them or meet up with them. Um this is going to help you follow through on not contacting that person, so that you're able to properly heal. Because you continuously going back to that person, or you breaking no contact with that person, is going to delay the healing process. The other person may actually need to learn that lesson. The other person may actually need to see and understand that what they did was wrong. But you breaking no contact, sometimes it can cause the other person not to respect you. Now, the article in Cosmopolitan did say that it's okay if you slip up and make contact with the individual once or twice, because sometimes, you do get weak. Um, Honestly, personally, for me, I would say if you can help it, do not contact that person at all. Just don't do it. Just don't contact them at all. Um, because it's just not, in the end, it's not going to be beneficial for you. Some people get a rise, like some people actually get an ego boost, especially if they are the ones who are operating from a place of their ego. Say they were the ones who were playing mind games with you, right? Because you do have some people that like to play mind games. And what they'll do is they'll string you along, and they want to see if you will take the bait. And if you are not able to read between, like, if you're not able to spot that, if you're not able to see the red flags, or if you have on your rose colored glasses and you're refusing to see that this person is playing mind games with you and stringing you along and basically like baiting you and trying to see, if you are in a place where you are vulnerable enough to fall for the tricks, going running back to that person to try to talk to that person, it only gives that other person an ego boost. It only gives that person an ego boost. I had to do that to someone myself personally. You have to find the strength to walk away. The other person knows exactly what they are doing, especially if you have someone that's baiting you. You do have some people that operate from a place of their ego. They want to see if you're going to chase them, if you're going to run behind them. The trickery, and the mind games, and sometimes people will literally play on your mental. um find the strength to not contact that person, no matter how hard. And it can be hard. It's definitely easier said than done, but it comes with knowing your worth. It comes with knowing your worth. It comes with knowing what you are willing and not willing to accept or tolerate from a person. And it comes from just loving yourself enough and being healed enough to know what you deserve. Okay. And then if you know what you deserve and you are secure within yourself, and you don't need another person's, validation, then it helps tremendously. Um, a lot of times the people who are not strong enough to follow through with the no contact rules, and the people who get weak and go back and end up in the same cycles, they are not healed. They are looking for a void to be filled. They're suffering from low self-esteem and self-confidence. They don't know their worth. A lot of times they don't feel like they're going to find anyone else like the person they are dealing with, even if the person is trash. In their mind, you can't convince them that there's anyone else out there better than the person that they were dealing with. Unfortunately, sometimes, that's just the way it can be sometimes when it comes to relationships, even situationships that people find themselves in, or that people get themselves into. Um, you know, it's definitely something that the no contact rule, it is very good to implement. Um, when I finally did the healing work personally on myself, and um I learned my worth. I got to a place where I was confident enough in myself, where I knew what I would and would not tolerate from a person, and what I would and would not accept from a person ever again, because my last relationship had taught me so much. And so I took everything that I learned from previous relationships, and when I went through my healing process, and um, I got very clear, took off those rose colored glasses, and I was able to, make clear choices and decisions. And I had got to a place where I was happy with myself. And so I knew that I did not need the validation and the approval from anyone. So the next person who tried to come and play mind games with me or try to get me to chase them would just be in for a rude awakening, because you're not going to get that far with me. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is like playing mind games with you and trying to get you to chase things like that, but if there, for whatever reason, why you have separated from a person, you have broken up with a person, you have parted ways with a person, you have to do what is going to be in your best interest. um so if the no contact rule is something that is in your best interest, I highly recommend implementing the no contact rule. I am full agreement to it 100%. And I also would recommend that you check out my video I did about closure and why getting closure does not work. It just doesn't work. Basically, you just go back and you open up Pandora's box again and you're back into a mess. And you really have to find the strength to, like I said, stand on business, follow through. This is how you set clear and healthy boundaries. This is how you demand respect. This is how you get people to see, no, I cannot treat them any kind of way. I cannot do any and everything to them that I want to, because they're not giving me the leeway. That door has been shut. It is not closed. So no, they cannot come back and back and back and back and back. You are just prolonging your healing process. That's all you're doing. You are prolonging your healing. You're keeping yourself stuck. You're keeping yourself stagnated. And then you go around and you, let me not say that because everybody doesn't do that. But I was going to say, then you go around and you whine and you complain. And, you may talk about how you're being mistreated and you're not being treated fair and you're being treated poorly. You know what you need to do. You know you need to separate from that person. You know you need to leave that person alone. And no contact rule does not always need an explanation. It doesn't need an ultimatum. It doesn't always need an explanation, especially if that other person is not deserving of one. You do not have to make one last statement. You do not have to give an ultimatum. You do not have to, make one last announcement. Do what you got to do for the best interest within yourself, and do the necessary healing so that you can move forward. If it's meant for you to be back with that person, trust me, that person is going to do the necessary work to heal, to work on whatever it is they did. They're going to acknowledge what they did wrong, and they are going to make a healthy, conscious decision not to do that again. Point blank, period. All right. So let's stop tricking and fooling ourselves, and let's stop, playing on our own top. It's bad enough when other people come in and play on your top, but when you play on your own top, that's just, whew. But I'm not judging, because I once was I used to be that person. And I thank God that I am no longer that person anymore. But I thought that the article in Cosmopolitan for the no contact rule, I felt like it was a very good topic to discuss. And I would definitely like to know your thoughts and opinions on the no contact rule. Do you, or have you ever used the no contact rule? Um, and do you feel like the no contact rule would be effective for you personally? I would highly recommend doing the no contact rule. And I would also recommend that you watch my video too on why getting closure does not work. because what I said in my video in this little article in Cosmopolitan, it really, it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand at the end of the day, and this is about knowing your worth. It is about knowing your worth. But if you are not healed, you're not going to know your worth. So you're not going to make the choices and decisions that's in your best interest anyway, because you are going to allow people to cross your boundaries. Um, and you're going to continue to allow yourself to be put in a situation where you end up in some type of trauma. So that's why healing and knowing your worth is so important. But yeah, drop down in the comments, y'all, and tell me what y'all think about this no contact rule. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. And until next time, you all take care and bye bye. Be blessed.